Are you still racing? That's a hobby.
Yeah,
Where,
it's a
what?
hobby. Yeah, it's a hobby. It's something I
Uh-huh.
like to do, on the weekends, here and there. I have two sons. I like to take them out. They can see it,
Hmm.
but it's been quite fascinating to see how, the industry, the history of it is primarily, of course, gasoline engines, internal combustion engines, and then this transition, to electric cars. Tesla's new
For
Model S
drag,
Plaid. Say that
for
again.
drag, for drag racing.
Drag
You said
racing, that's
Tesla.
right. Yeah. Tesla. So you have the new Tesla Model S Plaid, which is the fastest, and so you see all of the drag racers really shunning the electric car
No
people,
kidding.
and vice versa. It's not really a race car, that kind of thing. And I thought, oh, how
Hmm.
interesting the contrast and parallels to insurtech and insurance. So because obviously,
Ah,
I believe
wait,
electric
wait,
is the
wait, wait.
future.
Yeah, before you jump, into insurance, let's go back to the racing part. So, is it is it your car? Are you renting? How does it work? I know that you're in Kansas City, but tell us, simple people that live on the coast, how does it work?
Yeah. So you have your car, or I've not seen anybody rent a. Well, actually, I take that back. I guess you can rent a car, but yeah. So you have your car, and you take it. There'll be events that are called like test and tune. Now you have the races and the competition, but what I do is just more casual. It's called test and tune, and you just take your car out there and you can test it, you can tune it, and it's a lot of fun. So you get to go fast, but you do it in a safe environment. On a dedicated track and so on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we can actually jump into the insurance because I'm sure that Elon Musk didn't think about, oh, they are going to use my, well, racer or Tesla, what was it, the S model, to do
Uh-huh.
racing,
Yeah.
right?
They.
That data didn't really work with his AI, or does it?
No, I can imagine that the Tesla data. I don't think that would be favorable to the Tesla experiment to go that fast. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see the two schools out there of the traditional internal combustion and the electrics up and coming. So
So, how's the feeling, the difference between, by the way, are you a Tesla owner or just compete against them?
and just compete against them. Yeah.
Okay, and how's the
Yeah.
feeling?
Feeling I mean, I think it's pretty fascinating, frankly, that that you can have an electric vehicle that goes. It's the fastest production car in the world right now, and if you think
Hmm.
about how fast they're able to transfer that energy directly to, there's no transmission, there's no motor. I mean, it's electric motors, I guess, but no gas engine. It's pretty fascinating.
How did you end up in insurance and with Appian?
Yeah, great question. So the first half of my career was spent in technology with Sprint. Had a number of really exciting projects. Really, I would say using technology to scale the customer experience, reduce cycle times. And as I was going through that, lots of up and down in the telecom environment, I sought out healthcare or insurance. And here in Kansas City, and Farmers Insurance has very large contact center, found their development program, went through it, and never looked back, frankly. Still using technology to do first evers, which is scale experience. Went on to be CIO for Aon's specialty flood unit, and then have been now here at Appian for 4 years, leading our insurance practice. So it's very exciting opportunity to use technology to scale that experience.
So, for people who don't know what Appian is, let's give like the, well, not really the quick, let's do the long description of Appian.
The long description.
Because,
Well, it's
yeah,
low
let's do
code,
the
so
long,
it's
because
fast.
usually, yeah. Oh, you can do the fast. Okay, let's start with the
No,
fast, and
no,
from
no.
there we can talk about all the others. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Appian really helps organizations build applications and workflows very quickly with a low-code
Hmm.
automation platform. We really bring together people, technology, data into a single workflow. And that, of course, then helps you maximize your resources and really improve business results. And so when you look at some of the world's largest organizations that use Appian, they're really using it to drive customer experience, operational excellence, simplifying global risk and compliance. And we go to market as low code. Low code is a visual designer. You draw applications much like you would draw a flow chart. And because of that, the speed is 10 to 20 times faster than traditional high code methods, depending upon which analyst firm you look at. But bottom line, when you create an application with Appian, you should really expect to build them faster, as well as reducing your maintenance costs by at least half, because versus a traditional method, because it's just so much quicker, and it really helps you just deliver applications that much more rapidly. I mean, of course, we're seeing the market only gets faster. It's not slowing down, of course.
And that's faster on the development side and the designing of the different products, and of course, streamlining work processes and development of new products. And it's funny enough, the first time that I saw the low code interaction, I was like, that doesn't make sense to me, because my background, I'm a EE grad. So it's like, okay, electrical engineering, when you tell me low code, I'm thinking about assembler. You go into the iron, right? While actually it's a low touch code, so you have less coding than doing it. So it opens it up to basically a larger pool of talent that can build your different applications and work
Yeah.
processes.
That's
Yeah.
right, and you're seeing too, because of that, the talent shortage. There was an IDC, I believe, put out a report. I want to say last week even, but it was just talking about the tech shortage, the tech talent shortage. So we're also seeing low code as a form of succession plan staffing, just because, to your point, you're able to give it more people. It's very intuitive. Again, if you can draw a flow chart, you can build an application in Appian, and it's incredibly intuitive. Yet it scales at the level of global insurers need to scale.
Now, as a Farmers alum, right?
Yes, yeah, both of us.
What do you do with it? What do you? Is there projects that you can talk about? What you do with at Farmers? How do you support them?
Yeah. So I can't speak to customer specific. What I'll say is that you'll see applications.
So let me, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Can you share with us a success story with one of your customers? Sounds better, right?
Yeah. No, it sounds great. So yes, certainly. One of our customers, CNA, they received a Silent Model Insurer Award this year for their CNA Compass application. And this is an example of an application that's underlier placement in insurance, but the scale of it, 226 business partners in 164 countries globally. And, when you think about the complexity that goes with that, aligned to the local policy requirements, think about all the governance. Just one of many examples of applications of large size, built very quickly. And, I'd like to highlight the work that they've done, just because of that Independent Celent Award. They received that for legacy and ecosystem transformation. CNA is doing great things to modernize their legacy stack.
If we continue with the CNA example, how did they manage, to handle privacy policy? We know that Europe, they have the GDPR. Here in the US, almost every state has something different. California, we have a very similar GDPR concept of a privacy policy. Is that just that, or that's a simple case compared to the different rules? Because only in the US, 50 states, and each one of them has a different regulator.
That's
Are
right.
you a solution for the insurance products or internal processes within the company?
Yeah, great question. So I can't speak to CNA specific, but what I can say, for instance, when we think about how you have all those, you did a great job. We have all those global regulatory, and of course, insurance being highly regulated, you need to build to 100% requirement. And you need to do it very quickly, of course. And so that's where, if you contrast low code to, say, COTS, commercial off-the-shelf software, you have to give this trade-off, and it's usually the speed, unfortunately, is what we see. So with Appian, you build it to 100% requirement. If that's 50 states and 50 variations, of which, of course, it is, that's where you start. And I will say that there's, once you build, let's just say that, consumer compliance as an example, once you build, that component, and let's say that it's applicable to 3/4 of the states, which it is, then you just reuse that component, and then you just, from there, you go and you customize the piece that's different. And so that's how you really start to pick up the speed, is you're able to build it once and then reuse those objects. Appian has a concept we call records, and you tie all those back. So we would create a compliance record. You create those reusable components, and then when a new component comes along that you need to add, you add it to it, and now that piece is reusable, and so on.
So the internal pitch to the IT departments, that usually there will be a developer that instead of reusing code, or if they are in Node.js and React, it will be reusing components. Here you already have a block of logic that you can reuse, and it's a higher level, less touching and writing code, but just drag and drop code.
That's right.
And pieces
visual
of logic.
Design. That's right. And then we also have, accelerators, for instance, in the claims area, where, you're able to, we call it connected claims. And that's an example where we've taken all seven different modules that really encompass the entire claims journey. But the name connected is designed to connect back to your legacy claims systems. We see, significant investments that have been poured into these systems. And so our approach, a bit unique, to just help you in a very niche or narrow capacity to improve and close gaps from a leakage perspective, all the way to as large as using, Appian, for instance, to intake the claim from a first notice of loss perspective, and then align that to your core. Yeah, so it's really a very flexible, yet very fast approach to software development.
Most companies still, drag that baggage of COBOL somewhere in their tech stack, right? So they have mainframe, maybe they have a Java wrapper around it, or some sort of another IBM solution for that mainframe. Are you integrating with that? Are you coming with your own wrapping solutions? How do you pull that legacy sort of API so it will work with your platform?
Yeah. So if there's an API, which oftentimes there are, that's one of the joys of. Say that again.
The API you'll have for something which is a little bit more than.
It
was like an API for the wrapper that around the mainframe.
Yeah, exactly. So like some sort of an ESB strategy and whatnot. But certainly what you'll see is, with Appian, we will attach to that legacy system, and will be the system of process or the system of execution. And one of the benefits that we see from the architect perspective is we're often favored because of that very low effort. You don't have to create these, mirroring redundancy issues that just complicates it. In fact, we can meet that data on its terms, integrate, or, we have RPA, for instance, Appian RPA, or we can leverage, other RP strategies that may have been invested, and then do that across multiple disparate systems. And so, when you start to do that, you start to unify all those, silos of data to get that complete picture. Most of the legacy insurers, of course, have grown through acquisition. And so they have multiple silos. And that's one of the ways that we sit across all of them. And you were able to orchestrate from there, which is a very powerful. When you think about 360-degree views of the customer, you think about the action steps that need to come from claims, but then you have to verify, maybe agent or policy details. You're able to sit across all those respective systems and personas and automate that.
What do you see in terms of the balance, from, let's call it the patch solution? That's sort of my feeling about RPAs compared to, an integration, a proper integration between the different systems.
What is, and I apologize, Claude, as far as what is the Appian perspective on that, or?
Your feeling, what you've seen in the industry when customers going like, well, we have all these patches or different systems, so an RPA will be sort of the band-aid
Yeah.
on top of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
because they are trying to mesh everything together because of all the different legacies versus a nice architecture of real integration between the systems.
Yeah, great point. So what we have seen, I mean, RPA certainly has its place, and we've seen a number of large tier one insurers that have doubled down on their RPA strategies that just have fallen short. Frankly, just haven't delivered. And when you talk about a platform offering like Appian, an intelligent automation solution, you're really able to either leverage those. You can also refactor them if you choose to, but typically you'll see us integrate with those RPA strategies, leverage what works well, but then take it to that next level where you're able to really start to do those complex orchestrations, those, whether that be straight through processing, whether that be creating, underwriting workbenches, which is very popular right now. But the bottom line is that, being able to pull all that together from a platform perspective is much different than, say, a point solution, that was maybe tried before. And I will also say that there's a healthy level of skepticism about low code, about the ability to do that because of some of the missteps and some of the challenges that have been presented, previously.
Why? How come?
Just if you look at RPA strategies in particular, if they were set to deliver X but fell short and delivered Y, that's a great example. And so that's one of the fun parts of the role, if you will, and it's one of the exciting parts about Appian is that with low code, our average application in insurance is 8 weeks, and that is from idea and requirements gathering to enterprise global deployment. And of course, that's a very modest yet very definable scope, and the ability to get in and show that within 8 weeks is vastly different than months, multiple month initiatives. So that's one of those things that, in summary, that helps kind of counter that skepticism, is to be able to show just how quickly we can deliver.
How are you compared? If you can name names, great. If you don't, that's fine. How are you compared to your different competitors?
Yeah, well, I would say the first and the top of the house competitor is custom code. It's your point. It's the architects, typically, maybe even the CIO office, that's looking at their landscape, looking at the priorities that they have. And look, let's be candid. I mean, they're overloaded, and there's a backlog that's years deep. And why not just use it with the way we've always done it? Custom code or what we know. One of the lines we'll also hear is, you don't know my stack, I'm very complex. And I think that's, for me personally, that's where, when I'm at Appian, well, it goes back 7-8 years now, I was really surprised, frankly, at the ability for them to hook into a legacy stack and change it. From there, custom code, then it moves into the likes of Salesforce, Majesco, we see some Pega. But it really largely it's a lot to do with internal custom code. Yeah.
So let's talk about one of my favorite topics, which is ITC. Now, most likely because ITC is going to be next week, but this episode most likely will air the following week or 2 weeks later.
Okay.
What are your plans for InsurTech Connect?
Well, first, we're very excited to be back in person, and of course, with all the safety and health protocols. But looking forward to being back together as a group. But our plans, we've got a couple of things lined up. We have a special lunch session that will focus on connected insurance and hyperautomation. We see a lot of activity, of course, in the IoT space, and in my words, we've seen a lot of buzz, frankly. It's been a lot of hype, but now we're seeing a lot of practical application with, primarily agri agriculture, with IoT
Mm-hmm.
sensors, and we have a number
Yep.
of different applications that we've delivered that are really quite remarkable as far as the connectedness of it. We'll also be featuring our connected claims solution, and we'll be showing that the 7 different modules and how insurers, regardless of the complexity that they have, how they're able to align that to their existing investments, whether that's Guidewire, Duck Creek on the PNC side, whether that's Ingenium, OIPA Fast on the life side. But we're excited for that. And then really just a lot of great networking. Looking forward to catching up
Yeah.
with yourself and other colleagues, similar interests. There's been a lot of change, and the advance that COVID has had on digitization and insurance. It's very profound, and we're seeing a lot of interest in just how can we keep this momentum, and looking forward to ITC to help continue some of that networking and storytelling.
Yeah, I agree completely. Listen, in the past 2 years or 18 months, really depends how you count COVID and its effects on our life. Many companies and people have been working in their garage, or I don't know how to, you know, on behind the scenes on new things, and things change.
They
The
do, they do.
COVID, yeah,
Yeah, I
COVID
know.
was an amazing shock into the system, and beside the fact that it nudged many CEOs and CIOs to feel, yep, we need to change the entire approach from the workforce
Hmm.
to how we work with our policyholders and our partners, because that was a nice kick in terms of, yeah, you need to go digital and faster,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the faster is an interesting one, right? The
Hmm.
multi-year implementations are really starting to. I mean, not about starting, but they certainly were drawn to front and center when you're talking about that speed, and that's why I would tell you from the low code for insurance perspective, we see a lot more interest in our incremental approach and how you can do that iteratively. But you talk about the working from the garage. I mean, the InsurTech investment this first half has been remarkable to see that bounce back, and
Oh
that's
yes.
exciting
Oh
too.
yeah.
With all of the innovation that's going to be coming in, or it's already here, and how we just continue to advance as an organization. It's very exciting.
Now, you mentioned that briefly, agri-tech, agriculture,
Yeah.
IoT, all the connectiveness, which sort of led to that hyper automation. How do you guys working with IoT, and what is hyper automation?
Yeah, great question. So hyperautomation, from Gartner defined it. It's really the enterprise architects and the tech leaders asserting that they lack a defined strategy to really scale automation that has tactical and strategic goals. And it's really moving, from that to deliver end-to-end automation that's goes beyond RPA, and it really brings together, different complementary technologies to really help deliver business results. And so, from the Appian perspective, we embody the hyperautomation, with unified workflow, RPA, AI decision rules, API integrations, a lot of what we've talked about, intelligent document processing. And in the IoT space in particular, we've done a number of applications related to taking IoT sensors out in the field, from agriculture. You think about the ability to monitor anything from the weather to fertilizer applications to flooding, and to be able to provide associated either proactive alerts, proactive awareness, or claim straight through process. We have a couple of our customers using Appian to listen for a connected event, such as a water monitoring device that's on the main line, and as soon as that device has a set criteria that's met, we have one insurer in particular that's really focused on part of the onboarding. They create a connected experience. They have the customer answer a couple of questions, anything from just proactively alert me that there's been a potential leak, all the way to potentially rolling a plumber to come to the house proactively and
Oh,
and
nice.
fix
So
it.
it
So
triggers Yeah, so it
Yeah,
triggers the claims process. It's doing that EFNOL.
it
Interesting.
does.
Because
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going towards that parametric insurance
Hmm.
and mainly on the claim side, or there is a different element of that parametric and those, IoT triggering, ITTT, if this, then that element. That,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. We've
mhm.
even done some proof of concepts, with fine wine shippers, and so
No
again,
kidding.
in the parametric kind of sense, when you're talking about meeting that defined criteria, being able to proactively, alert, or you think about all the vast logistics information, whether that be, where the package is at, where it was expected to be at. And it's just
Hmm.
pretty incredible data that you're able to take. But if you contrast to why it hasn't worked in the past, it's because you have all those siloed systems versus now we're able to bring all of that together, be that good enterprise data steward, and then create actions from there that really then kick off, telematics based straight
Yeah.
through process. We did a recent proof of concepts with Mercedes Benz telematics, which has been pretty
Oh.
exciting.
Hmm.
It's an SDK that's out there. Anybody can get to it. But it was just pretty fascinating to see that when the criteria meet, what the future of insurance could look like through automated, claims handling.
Now that can be super cool. So usually, talk about swag and things that different companies send, so can promote or talk about and all that stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't mind like getting free stuff from Mercedes, maybe a car to sample and to test for them.
Yeah, but
They do a good job with their cars. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely, they do a great job with their
Yeah,
cars. Now, when they ask you to crash it so that they can test the sensor feed, maybe that's a whole different story. Who knows?
yeah. That may be a challenge.
Yeah,
Not really my style to crash
no,
things. It's
no,
more
not so
about,
much. We want to
yeah,
avoid that. So
yeah, we really do. Okay, so we are reaching the 30 minutes time mark. So I'll ask you the last question that I ask everyone, and that will be, can you give us a recommendation, which can be a life hack, a book, a TV show, whatever you learn from how to accelerate and brake at the same time to do like a nice, I don't know, wheelie or no, you don't do that with cars. Whatever
gosh,
that may be.
a life hack.
Or a book, any recommendation. Usually it's like something that you picked up in the past 18 months.
Yeah, yeah. Let me go to my book queue because I'm an audiobook guy, and
Yeah.
yes, intelligent automation. That's what's in my queue right now. And of course, it's not pulling up. I'll give you the author, but yeah, it's Intelligent Automation. Pascal Bornet. You may know Pascal. In fact, he's on
Which,
LinkedIn quite frequently.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
and I don't know
Okay.
how old a book that is, but yeah, I've been very impressed with that and a lot of his perspectives that have been
Mhm.
pretty fascinating. So yeah, that's my life hack. Welcome to the world of hyper
That's your recommend.
automation.
It's not a life. It's
Yeah,
not. It's
it's not a
yeah.
life hack.
It's a
Yeah,
book recommendation. It's a
that's
book
that,
recommendation.
that's
Fantastic.
right. Yeah, yeah. No, I guess the other life hack, I've been through COVID working with my kids on gardening inside. So we bought a little
Okay.
inside tent, and we've been growing some lettuce and some strawberries. It's been pretty interesting to help them understand where the raw food comes from. I don't know if I would have done that pre-COVID. So
Now that's a beautiful life hack on how to keep your kids engaged and have it. So, what do you mean by the tent is in the yard or in?
no,
I didn't get it.
yeah, no, it's inside. It's an inside grow tent. Got it off of Amazon, and
Uh huh.
it's a little 4 foot by 4 foot. It's very small. Takes a small footprint. It's got LED
Mm-hmm.
lights to simulate the sun, and yeah, you plant, and I'll be transparent and say our first batch went horribly wrong. Apparently, you cannot
Okay.
plant carrots with. I think we planted cilantro, and they do not get along, and so they both died, which was pretty
Okay.
dramatic for a 9 and a 4 year old. But we went round two, and round two has been fairly successful with the lettuce and the strawberries. They apparently can get along and commingle. So Yeah.
Do we know why the cilantro and the carrot didn't work, or just
Apparently, in the horticulture community, it's a known thing, but I do not understand. I did not dig into that. I'll have to put that on my Google that stuff
not
list.
for you? That can be an interesting.
But
That can be
I
an
will say
interesting
that
path to research for the kids.
yes, and I will say mad respect to the farmers and all those that
Mhm.
contribute to the produce supply line, because wow, it's been hard to a little 4 foot by 4 foot setting. I can't imagine in a larger setting. So
Yeah, Jake, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
thank you. It's been great to speak with you.
Likewise. Have a good one and see you in Vegas.
All right, I'll see you in Vegas.